Hi, everybody. Before we get to another great interview, the Two Opinionated podcast could really use your help. And it's easy, it's free. IMDb, which is the entertainment database, imdb.com, named us a top 100 podcast. We came in at number 82. That's a big deal because there's 15 million podcasts and growing. So to be named to anybody's top 100 list, pretty big deal for us. And the way you can help is to go to imdb.com, look up the Two Opinionated podcast, and that's it. Just bringing our page up. That traffic really helps us out. Our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. All we ask is that you subscribe. It's also free, but that really helps us to attract these amazing guests that we keep bringing on the program. And that's it. Two easy ways for you to support us, and we would really appreciate the help. Now let's get to that interview. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Two Opinionated. I'm so excited today. I've got actress Enya Flack with me. So welcome, Enya.
Thank you. So nice to be with you.
Well, we were talking offline, and you're not that far away from me. About 5 hour drive. That's not terrible. That's doable. We could have done this in person.
We could have, if I'd only, well, I don't know with the weather the way it is.
You don't
I
want to be
think we're
driving. You don't want to be driving that turnpike with this weather. That's terrible.
not my favorite thing to
No,
do.
no, no. We got like a foot of snow, and then it got really cold, and then it warmed up a little bit, and it snowed again, and now it's today it's like 11 degrees. So it's just ice.
Oh, that's brutal. I did, although I did wake up this morning and I checked my phone and it said it was 19 here. So,
Ooh, that's cold
that's,
for Charlotte.
yeah, it is. It is. And I hear we've got a little bit more of that coming the rest of the week.
I
So
know, and
I'll
I
be
feel
standing.
bad for complaining because poor LA. I mean, they've been through it the last few weeks.
It's incredible. And I've been, obviously been reaching out to friends and all that who are still out there. And thankfully, no one that I know was
Yeah,
harmed or
yeah.
was displaced or anything like that. Although I did have one friend who had a home in Malibu who he lost his home, and fortunately or unfortunately, he was out of town. So fortunately, in that he wasn't harmed.
Yeah, but he
Unfortunately,
lost
because
everything.
lost literally everything.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
think I think last count we had four friends out there that had lost homes. It's just been awful.
oh my
It's just
goodness,
been
yeah.
that I don't think anything stopped it till it reached the water.
I don't think so. Yeah, it's been, and that was I heard this morning. I didn't know this. Maybe you know this, but apparently the reason they can't say it's 100% contained or whatever it is, the fire can exist underground. Like they said, the roots of the trees that are.
Really?
I had never heard anything like
Me
that. So
either.
I'm like, okay, I don't know.
Yeah, if it's underground, how do you get rid of that?
I don't know. I don't know. I just like I said, but it's made me want to go and do a little research later and say,
Yeah,
huh, that's a
I'd never heard of that. Yeah.
little known fact, I guess. Yeah.
Well, yeah, let's start this way because we have to talk about all the Queen's men. But before we do that, tell me a little bit about what got you into the entertainment business. Tough job to have. What made you want to do that?
It's different. There's no clear path. I actually, it's funny because I was always sort of attracted to the entertainment industry in one way or another. I started out in music and was convinced that I was going to be in a symphony somewhere. I started playing the piano when I was seventh. I started playing the harp when I was nine, and I thought I was going to be in a symphony.
Do
And
you still play the harp?
I still have it. It's there, as a matter of fact. But I went to a recital, harp recital over Christmas and just kind of was reminiscing because I used to travel around to nursing
Yeah.
homes and churches and whatnot when I was a
Oh,
kid and
nice.
for Christmas and all that. And I kind of got a little nostalgic and and the lady that was uh directing this group of harpists, I was talking to her about, she says, well, we would love to have you come play with us next year. I'm like, oh well,
Better
that's
get
a
that out
lot
of
of
the closet. Dust it
I
off.
put yeah, dust it off and put that on the list of resolutions, and we know what happens with resolutions. So
Well, it'd be a good that's a good party trick. You
it
that's
is a
like,
good part.
but I mean piano is too.
Yeah,
Rare when
yeah,
somebody pulls out a harp.
that's true. That's true. It's just one of those, I don't know, things I got into when I was a kid. But then I went from that and to decided I wanted to be a broadcaster. And
Yeah.
that's, not entertainment industry, but still in front of the camera and all that. And I did that for about a year and a half
Were you
before
doing
I
news?
realized for me, news,
Yeah.
news, news, news. Yeah.
Yeah.
I worked at the local ABC affiliate here in
Oh yeah.
Charlotte for a second, and it just wasn't for me. It just wasn't for me. It's a little local news is kind of tough. It's, it's
It looks tough.
fire, just the all the bad news you can possibly think of, that's what you're going to talk about at least for the first 20 minutes of any broadcast.
Yeah,
So
and that's
that
tough to because it's tough not to let that affect you. It'd
yeah,
be hard to
exactly.
maintain a positive outlook if you're constantly dealing with negativity. Yeah, that'd be hard.
Exactly.
I think you have to like you just have to love it as a news person to do that.
Yeah. Get that story out there and get the information to people. And and God bless the people who do it.
Well, we
I,
need
you know,
them.
yeah, we absolutely. Speaking of the fires, um, I saw, yeah, I guess Anderson Cooper this morning, and they were showing some footage of him out at reporting from the LA fires, and and it was just kind of amazing. I mean, but I guess he had experience as a in war zones and that kind of
Right.
thing, so
Yeah,
he's
he's used to it.
flying and all that kind of stuff. But
Well, that's what
yeah,
it
not
looks like out there. It looks like a war zone.
really does. It's kind of crazy,
Yeah.
but good for Anderson. I applaud him, but not for but how I ended up in in acting, it was a complete fluke. I was teaching at
Oh,
a modeling school, in San Francisco,
yeah.
and there was a guy who came up from LA to scout for new talent. He was a talent manager. And the teachers weren't supposed to get to speak to him, but he at the end of the day he came to my office and he asked me if I had any acting experience, and I said, well, no. And but I had taken one class in college,
Yeah.
and
But you've been on
he was
camera. That should help.
I, I'd been on camera, so but I read some lines with him, and he actually said this to me, and I couldn't believe he says, you got a great look, and I feel like I could represent you. And I thought, even I'm not dumb enough to believe that. That sounded so silly to me. And I just thought, oh, that doesn't happen. That's fairy tale stuff.
Apparently it
But
does.
legitimate and got me an audition in 2 weeks, and I booked the first thing I ever read for in my life.
What was it?
And it was a show called Out All Night.
Okay.
It starred Patti LaBelle, Vivica Fox, couple of names you might know.
Well, that's not terrible for your first acting gig.
Not bad. And I think I probably was able to book it because I didn't have any fear because I was just kind of like,
Right.
well, hey, let's try this. And so it just worked out, and I ended up moving to I got the first paycheck,
Mhm.
and it was more than I was making in a month as a teacher at a model
That's how
system.
they
So
get you, though.
that's how they
They
get
bring
you.
you in, and then they don't tell you that there's going to be lean times in there.
They don't tell you that. And so you're in your head, you think, oh, wow, if it's this easy, sure, I'll. But yeah, but I mean, that's essentially how I got into it. And and the more I did it, the more in love I fell with it. Took some classes and just got to know the culture in LA. And, you know,
I love that
I
because
commute.
it's a little different than most people. They decide pretty early this is what I want to do, and they kind of go through school or whatever and kind of do that. You already had your career, and then decided.
Basically. And, I think that looking back on it, I remember being, probably 3 or 4 years old and doing the thing with the hairbrush in front of the light and all that. So I think I probably always had it in me, but as I was mentioning, it's not the kind of thing. Well, we did have a drama club in school and all that, but I was so shy. I would have never ever auditioned for a play, for example, or anything like that. So it's just not it. And my parents were both teachers, so it was all about education and there's no straight path to acting.
Yeah.
So it just wasn't even. I think it
Well,
wasn't even
what
really
did
on
they
my.
think about you going into acting?
They didn't know what to think. It just sort of it was exciting for them, to see me say a word or a line here and there. But I know for years, friends would say, "So what is she doing? What is she doing?" And they would say, "Oh, we don't know. We don't know what she's doing." But it was I think it was probably a little terrifying for them. Uh,
Well, as
you know.
parents, you just want to make sure your kids are okay. So
Right.
whatever they're doing, so I'm thinking they're probably in the back of their head thinking, I wonder what her backup plan is.
Well, I was able to use some stuff that I learned in college, the broadcast stuff I ended up doing
Yeah.
on the side. I ended up working at a news station, a TV station in LA,
All right.
KCBS, and I was doing sports reporting on the weekends. So that was and then I ended up doing some entertainment reporting with E. So that I guess in a way I did have sort of a backup,
Well,
a
and I
strange
know
back.
you've done a little bit of modeling, right? You did some Prices Right stuff, Deal or No Deal, I think you did. So yeah, you made it work.
I don't know. Hey, somehow it worked. And when people ask me for my opinion on how they should get started, I honestly never know what to tell them other than, if an opportunity comes your way,
That's it.
don't be afraid to try to take advantage of it unless it's just something
Well,
I
I
don't
think
know.
that's where most of us kind of drop the ball is it's not that opportunity never knocks, it's that we don't always answer. You
It's
have to
true.
answer.
I'm good at
So all the
answering.
Queen's Men, all right. So the new season's out, and you're a DA on there, right?
Serious DA. Yes.
We just had Gwendolyn Osborne on. That's also on, and coincidentally, she was also has done some modeling for Prices Right.
I met her years ago. And then it was fun to get to. I ran into her, for the first time in years, in the hair and makeup room at Tyler Perry's studio. So that was kind of fun to reconnect.
Nice. Tyler Perry has got it figured out. Like he does
It does.
all these TV shows, movies. I mean, the volume is crazy, but they're all really well done.
It is, and I'll tell you, being on this show has been it's such a different experience from really anything I've done. Not only the character that I get to play, but just the way that it's shot. And it's quite brilliant, I think.
Yeah,
For example, the shooting for most TV shows, you may start on page one and go to page whatever. You've got one script and
sure.
for the do that when you shoot one of on Tyler Perry's series, um, say you have a scene that's in an office setting,
Right,
and throughout the course of the season, you're going to have maybe 10 different scenes from 5 different episodes that are all set in that same office.
right,
So what you end up doing is you shoot all of the office scenes from all of the different episodes that are in all at the same on the same day.
right.
So for the actor, that's kind of interesting because that's a lot more lines to learn, or
That's
it's
right.
there are a lot of costume changes within the course of the day, and you have to sort of have a sense of what's going on, 5 weeks down the road, for example,
Right.
in order to all together. So it's different, but it's very efficient.
Yeah,
And
that's
as
what
you
it
said,
seems like. It like even his TV shows to me, and I mean that's just from a fan's perspective, but it seems like he runs them like movies. Even the TV shows.
yeah, absolutely. And you usually have um let's see. Well, I know one scene we did, we had four different cameras, coverage from four different cameras. So there's no need to, uh, what usually happens is you have the camera here and you get this coverage of the scene. And
Right.
then they move the and they got that coverage. This one, it's all at
All
once. So
done.
it's all done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the advantage of having like a bigger studio behind you. And if you're doing an independent, you probably only got the one camera.
On camera.
It might be somebody's cell phone. You don't know.
Hey, there have been some pretty good movies shot on cell
Yes, there
phones, in
have.
fact.
Yes, there have. Well,
They should
so for
just
those that aren't watching All the Queen's Men, what's the show about? Talk a little bit about what the show's about, and then how your character's role fits into it.
Well, basically, it's centered around a character named Marilyn. Madam is the her nickname, Marilyn
Yep.
McBeal, and she's a high-powered well, she's a businesswoman. She's an entrepreneur, but
Not
she's
always
not
in the legal sense, though.
not yeah, exactly. Not always usually not in the legal sense. She's a bit of a, she's a bit of a mob boss in some ways.
Yeah.
So, it's
I
very
like the
powerful.
fact that they're doing it like normally you would see this type of show, but it'd be a man, and this time they've made it the kind of the main boss is a woman, and I kind of love that because it changes the whole dynamic of it.
It really does. It
Yeah,
really does. Eva Marcel is incredible,
yeah.
incredible.
Oh, she does
Um,
such a great job.
you're never quite sure. It's funny when you're on set, you're never quite sure where the character's beginning and where she's ending because she's so focused in
Yeah.
on it. So it's with her. Um, but yeah, it centers around her and her business and all that. And there's a Detective Davis who's been trying for a number of years to bring her down,
Yep, of course.
to get her jailed. And so now I've teamed up. Detective Davis and I have teamed up in our efforts to finally bring her to justice. So
Who's playing Detective Davis?
her name is Kiki Haynes.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's one thing I noticed with the show is that it's really well casted. Because it's a fairly large cast, but it's like everybody knows what they're doing. They seem you don't have any duds as far as the cast goes. It's a good cast.
Yeah, it is a huge number of actors on it. I was talking to the wardrobe ladies, and I think it was something she said they had to cast or outfit. I think something like 57 people or something, which is that's a
Sounds like a
pretty
lot
big.
to me.
Yeah, not to mention background people and whatnot. So
Yeah, that's like a whole football team, like
pretty
the whole
much,
team,
yeah,
not just the starters.
the whole team. Yeah, that's right.
Well, so does yeah, I'm guessing that you're Alicia, right? Your character's name's Alicia. So Alicia, I'm guessing gets into some uh, serious situations in the course of trying to get her.
She does. She does. Most recently, this season, we've seen her get shot at a few
Yeah.
times. Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah,
Uh,
I was
so
gonna say that doesn't sound fun even in pretend.
there's some, I bet they're very careful, they're the stunt people, stunt coordinators are great to work with. I mean, and they come over to you and they show you the weapons and let you see that there's nothing in the
Oh,
chamber
that's
and all
great.
of that.
Yeah, so you don't worry.
So you don't worry, and they,
Yeah,
they really try to make sure that you're comfortable with everything, or as comfortable as you can be
yeah.
with everything. Make sure that you know
Oh,
that they're looking
good.
out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would, I couldn't act, but if I did, I'd have no concern because it would never occur to me to worry about
Mm.
But most people would at least be a little bit concerned. So I think that's great. They come and say, hey, look, it's empty. You don't need to worry.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of stuff in post-production, after the fact with AI and all that. But no, that's not the case with this. They're, everything's, shot live there, so to speak. So,
Yeah, I like that. I like that. AI is coming. We're not going to be able to completely avoid it, but I'm okay if it takes a little bit longer.
I am too.
Yeah.
Although I have to say, I've recently gotten turned on to Chat GPT.
Yeah.
Wow. I know. And I've become a monster a little bit.
Well, I was going to say, you can, that's a time suck. You can get drawn into that, and next thing you know, it's like evening time. Where'd the day go? I know, where was this when we were in school? I could have used that.
Your grandkids, I don't know, who knows what they're going to have at their disposal when
I,
they're old enough.
I'm not sure how I don't know, does it curb creativity? Does it help it? I don't know.
That's well, that's a good question. I don't know. I guess that remains to be
I wouldn't
seen. But
like you mentioned your parents being teachers. My dad was a teacher and then a administrator for years, and I think he'd struggle with what to do with that, because how do you know what the kid is actually written and what's just AI writing for them? I don't know.
and maybe I shouldn't say this, but it is possible to do sort of train Chat GPT, for example, to speak in your voice. And the
Right.
more that you use it, the more custom it becomes to you. It learns, how you would phrase things and all that. And I mean, I would think that would be really tough
I don't
for,
know. I think I'd be using it all summer before I started school,
I
just
think I
so
would
it was
too.
used to me by the time we got to school.
Uh-huh.
uh,
It is
enjoyed
really
you on enjoyed you on Outer Banks. You played a doctor on an episode there. That show, I started watching it from the beginning. I thought this is pretty good, but I didn't expect it to go anywhere, and it was a pretty big hit.
really taken off. It's such
Yeah.
a talented young cast though, and it's a little it's like a what I'll say almost a teen soap opera a
That's
little
what I
bit
would
kind
call it. It's like a teen soap,
of yeah,
but it's got
but
a little bit.
uh,
They're out there searching for treasure and doing different things. It's fun. I thought it was a fun show.
it is fun, and you know what, you can't beat getting to shoot on the beach. it's
No, that's
it's kind
pretty
of
good.
fun. Yeah, they actually shot that in not in the Outer Banks, but in Charleston or just outside of
Oh,
Charleston.
really?
Yeah, yeah. And it's beautiful. It's fun to
I
shoot
wonder
there.
why wouldn't they just shoot it in the Outer Banks?
That's a good question. I mean, let me take that back. I mean, I'm as far as I know,
Yeah.
the scenes that I shot were definitely shot in South Carolina and Charleston. It's my understanding that that is where they are based.
I'm
Maybe
guessing
they
it's
do,
tax wise, it's cheaper. That's probably
could be that. Yeah,
yeah.
it could.
Yeah. Have you ever been
That
to the Outer Banks?
I actually haven't, and it's on the bucket list, and it's
That's pretty
ridiculous that I
nice.
haven't. I hear it's wonderful. I'm gonna
I
have
got
to.
to, my mother used to go every year when she was growing up. So I went a few times when I was younger. She, was taking us kind of to where she had been, but I got to go with, when my daughter had her first child, granddaughter. She her husband got tied up and she was in a wedding, so I went to take care of the baby basically while she was in the wedding. The best. I had the best time. It was one of those, it was a week that I spent with my granddaughter pretty much 24 hours a day for that week, and we've been tight ever since. And she was just a baby, but once you get that bond, it's hard to break.
That's true.
Yeah, but
That is
Outer
very
Banks, beautiful, beautiful.
have to get there. I did do another show called a guest star on a show called Our Kind of People a few
Oh,
years back. That's shot in Wilmington, North Carolina,
oh
where I
yeah.
had been. It had been a few years for that, and but that was sort of right at the tail end of the big shutdown of for COVID. And
Right.
so what was supposed to be a job that was going to last 3 days ended up lasting 3 weeks because they kept having to shut down
Oh, shut
production
down.
for, somebody would
So
come down
did
with
you just
COVID.
get kind of stuck there for 3 weeks?
But that was a good place to be
I was
stuck.
going to
I
say, I could live with that. If you were stuck in like, I don't know, somewhere cold that
Yeah,
that you're kind of stuck indoors,
where
that
you
would
are
be
right
fun. Right.
now. I mean,
Right. But if you're at the beach, okay, I'll stick around.
so I could give a tour of Wilmington. Now I went to every
Right.
tourist attraction, every museum, every all. So I had a great time.
Yeah, that doesn't sound terrible. And
And a
what?
fantastic hotel that overlooked the water. Nothing to complain about.
Yeah, yeah. That's. I'm guessing if you were quarantined or had to be quarantined, that's not a terrible place to be stuck. I'd take that one. That's probably better than what most people
That's true. That's true.
have. Did I see that you did an episode of The Sopranos?
Saw that. Yeah, I did. And that
That's
was
pretty.
so
That's pretty impressive. I mean, that was probably 20 years ago.
well, thank you for pointing that out.
I know. I'm very sorry. But it just, I was looking at that and I was like, has it been that long since The Sopranos was out? And I was like, yeah, I guess it has.
Yeah,
Because I'm
it
guessing
has.
you were probably near toward the end, right? The last couple of
Was.
seasons. Yeah.
It was the last season.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was the last. And what was unusual about my getting to do that, that was when I was still in LA.
Yeah.
And The Sopranos was actually shot, all of it was shot in New York, in and around
Yeah.
New York City, except for that one episode. And I was lucky enough to get in on it. So
I mean, that's
yeah,
a
that
big
was
deal because a lot of people would say that's probably what short list of greatest TV shows ever. It's probably on that list. And not many people can say, "Well, I was in that," because it's been a little while, but you were in it.
and my part was not huge or anything, but I did get to work with Sir Ben Kingsley,
Cool.
Oscar-winning actor,
That doesn't suck.
Gandhi and so many other things,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
Lauren
I
Bacall.
mean, in my head, he's still Gandhi. I've never
Oh,
got past that.
it's
Every
true.
time, and he's done so much since then. But that's what I see. Ben Kingsley, that's Gandhi, and that
And
movie was about 40 years ago.
it's that long, my
Yeah, it was in
goodness.
the 80s.
Crazy. That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, he
I was
was
gonna
in it,
say I
and
was just a teenager when it came out because I think it was fairly early in the 80s. But that was one that eventually they started showing it in school. So I don't know. I don't remember if I saw it at a theater or if I just saw it when a couple years later when they started showing it in school. Great movie though.
fantastic movie. I feel like I have to go. I need to go and
I
find
know.
it
I haven't
and watch.
seen it since I was a kid.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fantastic
I've
movie.
got
And
a good friend, actor friend that got to work with Ben Kingsley one time, and that was years ago too. And he talks about he's not just like an actor's actor, he's very professional, but he's just a nice guy. He said he was very good about just kind of helping him to relax because he was a fairly new actor. Obviously Ben Kingsley knows what he's doing, and he was very good about kind of helping him relax.
Mhm. I had exactly that same
Yeah,
experience with him. It's just so nice, so
he just
wonderful.
gets
Such
it.
yeah. And the thing of it is he was not feeling well the day that I worked with him. He had a cold or something,
Yeah.
and he was still just as nice and just sweet. And people were asking him for autographs and or take pictures. It's like, oh, sure, it just, you'd appreciate that from anyone, but I'm kind of like, oh wow, but you're Ben Kingsley, so
Ben
that's really
Kingsley.
nice.
I need
So
to
yeah.
rewatch. This is not the best, but Sopranos. I got divorced in 2003. I'm remarried now, and thankfully get along great with my ex. She's terrific. Uh,
Nice.
but that Sopranos was my divorced show. So when I first got divorced, I watched that entire series, and it kind of got me through the rough time. Kept my mind busy while I was, kind of getting over that. And I always think of that, but I haven't watched it since. I'm like, it's probably time to. Enough time has passed. It's time to rewatch.
Yeah, I think it's I don't know, on Netflix, one of those streaming
Oh yeah, it's
channel.
out there. Yeah,
Saw it recently or saw it advertised recently. So yeah,
there's
it
some
is a
of
great.
those shows. because it was an HBO show. Some of the HBO shows, The Wire was one of those. They had some crazy good shows, and and still do.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
it helps when you can put a little bit of money behind it.
Well,
It helps.
that does help. Yeah.
You made an appearance on Walker.
I
Saw
did.
saw that one because I always go through. I'm like, okay, what have I seen her in? And I was like, okay, Walker. Remember that? Remembered Outer Banks. And there was I wrote it down. Oh, were you in Homeland?
I had it was a scene with Claire Danes.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I
not a
watched that
huge
show. I couldn't remember that, but then I saw it. I was like, hmm. Yeah, if you're going to
and
be
I
in a scene, you might as well be with the star.
yeah, exactly. I'm sorry I don't remember the name of the episode. Maybe I'll get it to you later.
Claire Danes, such a good actress. Loved her in My So-Called Life. You know, that was such a fun, and I think it was an MTV show at
I
when
think it was.
first came out, and she kind of took off from there. And it had Jared Leto was in that show.
They actually they used to so I'm told because I wasn't here at the time, but I hear that I think Homeland used to be shot in Charlotte, North
Oh, I
Carolina.
didn't know that.
Then apparently the incentives were taken away, the tax incentives were taken away.
Mhm.
And so the episode that I worked with them on was shot in Richmond, Virginia. It's just incredible how many shows are being shot here on the East Coast now. When I moved
It's
out to
changed.
LA, everything was,
Yeah.
was basically everything. New York or LA, you had to be in one or the other. Now it's just, you know,
Well, you got
I won't say
Atlanta does a lot. Pittsburgh does a lot. We've been watching that The Pit. You know, it's got Noah Wiley's back on. You know, back as a doctor on there, but it's in Pittsburgh, and it's kind of nice that you've got acting opportunities where you don't have to live in the most expensive place on earth in LA.
well, it is. And I think that was, I think people learned a lot unfortunately, learned a lot from COVID
Yeah.
too, because people moved to places where they felt a little safer or, maybe had more room or to move, whatever.
Right.
And it's the business has really been different ever since. So
When you were modeling for Deal or No Deal, did you get to open the suitcase?
I did.
Oh, that's pretty
I did.
nice.
I got to open the suitcase a bunch of times, and I never had the $1 million suitcase.
Mhm.
Um, I had my number chosen. Number 8 apparently is the most chosen
Oh, that's
suitcase.
interesting. Yeah.
When they which one do you want to, which one do you think has the $1 million in it?
Yeah.
So number 8 apparently is the most chosen number. So and I was
Interesting.
number 8.
Yeah. I always thought that was because that show, I think there was a time period there where game shows really took off. And that was one of those. I think Who Wants to Be a Millionaire came out around that same time, and it was like they were on prime time there for
Yeah.
a while,
Yeah.
and they did so well. And now we're kind of back in that the game shows are on 7 o'clock instead of 8 or 9 o'clock. But yeah, that's pretty good.
It's just fun. I mean, for me, because I love game shows. I love when people win. I mean, it's you
Yeah.
can't help it. I'm still watching, not daily or anything, but when I happen to have a TV on and I see that The Price is Right is on,
Mhm.
I watch it and I love when people win. And I think that's the appeal of game shows.
I mean, Drew Carey kind of stopped acting because he loved doing The Price is Right so much.
Steve Harvey
Oh,
quit
Steve
acting.
Harvey, yeah. Yeah, Steve Harvey's probably the one. I mean, he made a whole career out of just game show hosting.
Well, he was on I did his show too. There was a Steve Harvey show
I remember the
sitcom.
Steve Harvey show. It was like was it in the afternoons maybe?
It was in the evening.
Oh, it was the evening.
Maybe
Okay.
maybe there's another one. I don't know if he had another one, but he had the Steve Harvey show. It was a sitcom, and it was
Oh, that's
probably on.
right. That's right. Yeah, I'm thinking he did a talk show for a while, like a daytime talk show. Yeah, I forgot he had a sitcom.
A lot. He's from West Virginia,
I
I think.
know. And I
Right?
know. And I didn't know, uh, for a long time and found that out. And I was like, well, I got to have him on the show at some point. He's from here.
Good people. I enjoyed working with him, and yeah, just another very nice person. But
Yeah.
he tells you things as they are.
Well, you can see that on the shows. He just says it.
That's true.
I think that's why people like him so much. He says what you're thinking. He's confident enough just to say it.
I caught it. You said it. So that's
Is there a genre that you haven't got to do that you would like to do?
well, I've not done horror.
Oh,
And it's funny because that's not something that I would traditionally say that.
how do you do with gore? Like I'm a chicken. If it's too gory, I got to shut my eyes.
Yeah, I don't like that a lot either.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what I think is more interesting is just the psychological horror stuff.
Oh, I
The
do
stuff
too.
where,
It's
you're
just
sort of, you
creepy.
don't just the creepy that yeah, the creepy stuff. And
But do you want to be the victim or the villain?
actually like to be the villain.
Yeah.
You know, the nice for as an actress, the great thing about the villain is you can't go too far. There is no such thing as too far.
That's right. That's right.
Um, it's fine. I actually had a script come across my desk recently, and I'm real excited about it. So I'm kind of in a little bit of
So is
discussion
it
about
hit
that.
that genre?
There's an element of horror,
Okay.
horror in it. So, um, so we'll
Do you
see.
do you have like do you practice your scared scream? Do you have a good scream?
Say that I have, but
If you're the villain, you don't necessarily have to have one, but you might need one if you're a victim.
that's true. No, it's always more fun to play the villain. I mean, but obviously years ago, I remember when I was in college, I scheduled at least 1 year or one semester's worth of classes around a soap opera, The Young and the Restless,
Yeah, yeah.
because I loved Susan Lucci, who played Erica Kane. I don't know if you're
Oh,
familiar
I
with
know
that, but
Susan. Yeah, because she was the one that was nominated like 20 times before she finally won. It was crazy. Yeah, amazing.
yeah, but she was kind of the villain. I mean,
Yeah.
she was the one who she was always the conniving one, just that kind of
She's always up to
that's
something.
always up to something. So I like those kinds of characters.
I always thought if I was an actor, a soap opera would be a good way to go because you're kind of forced to get good at studying lines, because
True.
it's so much in such a short period of time.
And the other nice thing about it is that's generally stable work, which you don't find in a
That's
lot of
true.
acting.
Well,
So
there's people that have been on soap operas for 40 years. you they've just grown up on the show.
literally
Started
grown up.
out maybe as the main character, and then over time they were the parents, and now they're the grandparents. I don't know, kind
It's
of soap opera. I mean, I know there's not a ton of them still out there, but there's still a few.
there are. There's a new one that's going to be coming up. I believe it's the end of next month or so, something like
Really?
that. Maybe it's called Beyond the Gates, and I
Oh,
don't know.
is it going to be a nighttime one or is it during the day?
It's my understanding that it's during the day,
I don't think they've
and
had a new one in a while.
yeah, yeah, and they're shooting it in Atlanta. I was up for a role on that. I didn't get it. I was, very
Mhm.
close, but I'm excited to see it. I
Well, you
really
know
am.
how
And
that goes. At some point, they're going to be like, I bet Enya would be good at this role. And then they'll call you back to try again.
anybody watching, I'll be happy to do it. I mean, it actually looks like it's going to be a really good show. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. And like
Yeah,
I
I
said,
didn't
it's shot.
realize there was a new one coming out. I'll check that out.
Yep.
Let's see. Well, Atlanta, we talked about that a little bit. They do Walking Dead there, and they've got a pretty robust like movie type of setup. But Vampire Diaries was there. I mean, It's
Right. Yeah.
yeah, it's changed a little bit. That's I honestly I think L.A. and New York they got expensive. So these studios are looking for cheaper alternatives. So that's how they end up in Atlanta, Pittsburgh, South Carolina.
I worked on a film a couple of years back, and I remember the director was telling me that we shot it in and around Knoxville,
Yeah,
Tennessee, but originally they had wanted to shoot in Georgia around Atlanta,
yeah,
and but he said that there was like a 3-year waiting list
really.
because there were so many that wanted to work there, and they had to, I guess, space it out. I don't know how it works, but yeah,
They come
somebody.
to West Virginia. We we've got less people in this state than LA has in the city. So there's tons of
Forget.
place. We got lots of room. Just come here.
And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful
It,
place.
it is
It's
beautiful.
just, but just not right now, not with the snow.
No, no, no. Wait till the
No.
snow clears. Unless you want to do like a Christmas movie, then come on.
That's perfect. There
Yeah,
we go.
they
We'll
did
start.
do a Christmas movie at the Greenbrier a couple years ago.
Yeah, well, yeah, that'd be such a nice setting for one too,
Mhm.
wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be
Well,
too terrible.
that's for
We may have to just do it ourselves. We'll just
there
write
we go.
something and just do it ourselves.
There we
Well, Enya,
go.
thank you for taking a little bit of time with us today. That's such a pleasure. I'm such a fan of your acting. I didn't mention Dynasty, but I saw you on there too. That, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I
Now we'll
appreciate
have to
it.
do it again when the next big one comes. You got to come back.
All
Oh,
right, that's a deal.
I didn't mention Nutty Professor. You were in
Well, what
that
would you like?
Clumps movie.
I would that too. I've been so blessed. I really have been so blessed to do not only as much as I've done, but for as long as I've done it.
Yeah.
Because I've been doing it for a minute, as they say. And it's I can't think of any other job where you have to get paid to play dress up and pretend, essentially. So there's some work to it, and there's definitely some pitfalls and disappointments and all that. But I've been really, you know, I'm thankful.
Well, you've been blessed in that it it started out well.
Yeah,
Sometimes if stuff goes really horribly right at the beginning, maybe you're doing something else now. But it went
that's
well, and here you are.
here I am,
Here you are.
still hanging on.
So a couple of things before I let you go. Anything else that you're working on that we can kind of keep an eye out for?
Well, I just have some more episodes of All the Queen's Men coming up right now, and like
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah,
so
everybody should be watching that show. It's really well done. And this is what season's this now? Is it three?
we're in season number 4
Four? Yeah. Okay.
now. And if I'm not mistaken, we're on hiatus, a break for a couple of months, I think. So there are 16 total episodes for the season.
That's a
And
pretty big season anymore.
but they have now aired through episode 8, but now there's going to be a break.
So probably
So
about March or so we'll get the last 8.
that's right. Yeah, March, maybe even April. I'm not sure. I
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
look that
Well,
up.
yeah, they'll probably time it for May sweeps, so it'll
Hold
go through
on.
May.
Hold the
A little bit
audience and
long.
like,
Well, that gives everybody time to catch up.
that's
They
right.
got
That's true.
3.5 seasons. They got to catch up.
That's right. Go back to
I mean,
season
I
1 and
don't.
catch.
Some of us have been watching, but you know, these guys, they need to pick it up.
There you go.
Okay, so last thing before I let you go, where can we find you on social media?
Just look up my name on everything. It's pretty
It
easy.
came right up.
And Nyaflack on X, on Facebook, and on Instagram.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty. I know there's like 10 or 12 of those social media sites now. They just keep popping up.
They do. That's enough for me though. I
There's
never
only
I,
so
I
many you can do. I mean, we do that too. We try to put our episodes out there, but we're only on 4 or 5 of them. I was like, I don't have time to post to 10 or 12 different places.
I have a TikTok account sitting down
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
I do have one, but but I've never really done too much with it. Maybe I'll, now that we
You're
know that it's,
you're not doing TikTok dances, is what you're
I'm
saying.
not doing TikTok.
Yeah,
Nobody
me
wants
neither.
that. So
I'm kind of I mean, I'll post the clips from the episodes from the show, but I'm more of a lurker on TikTok. I like watching all the cool things everybody's doing, but I'm not going to do them.
I hear you. No, the only thing I do with TikTok is I spend money.
Yes.
TikTok shops have gotten me hooked, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, it's easy to do. You know, I know. I know. And thankfully it's back. You know, it was gone for what, a day or something. Everybody freaked out. Now it's back.
12 hours, I think. Oh
That's why I
no.
said, I was like, just wait. It's fine. It's not going anywhere. Well, Enya, thank you so much. And definitely please reach back out. Let's do it again. We'll have a part 2 at some point.
All right, I love it. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. All right, hold on one. Really enjoyed that one, Enya Flack. I think we got to talk about everything I wanted to mention. I kind of threw Nutty Professor in there at the end, so that one's on me. She did some work on The Resident and also had an appearance on CSI Miami. But otherwise, I think we hit all of those. If you're not watching All the Queen's Men, I would suggest that you try it out. It's a really well done show, as most Tyler Perry projects are. He doesn't miss too often. I'm sure he has his moments, but the majority of things that he works on or puts his name on, really well done. Enya, terrific actress. So definitely check her out. I love the story of her, you know, kind of having a career and then getting into acting. It doesn't always happen that way, but good for her. And I think easy to see why. She's very talented. If you're finding us for the first time, so glad that you're here. Thank you so much. Excuse the got a little bit of hoarseness going on. I ran this morning, and I'm guessing because of the cold air. You know, I feel fine, but voice sounds just a little strange. So apologies for that. Those of you that watch the show pretty regularly, you know, I've been pretty open about my Parkinson's diagnosis. Well, where I was running late today for our interview, I forgot to take my Parkinson's meds before I left the house. I don't think it was very noticeable, but if you noticed anything, if you know, I had a little bit of a blank stare, or if I was slurring my words at all, that's what's going on. Dummy forgot to take his meds before he left the house. If you're finding us for the first time, so happy that you're here and would love to have your support. And it's easy to do. It's free. You know, there's a couple easy ways to do it. Our website's meistercon.com. You can find almost 900 episodes on there and counting, audio and video versions. If we're doing anything in studio, if we're going on location, covering a convention, it'll be on the website, meistercon.com. So please check us out there. Our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. If you go there, please subscribe. It's free. Really helps us out. Helps us to keep bringing in these terrific guests. You know, I like to say, if there's a good show on TV, chances are we've talked to somebody from it. And that's all because of you. You know, we're able to say, hey, we can bring this amount of people when we do an interview, and it helps us to attract guests. So if you go to our YouTube channel, MeisterCon Pod, please subscribe. IMDb, which is the entertainment database, imdb.com, named us a top 100 podcast. Very blessed to have that. There's 15 million or so podcasts out there. To make someone's top 100 list, incredible. I can't believe it. My son can't believe it, but here we are. Thank you so much. If you'd like to kind of check that out, you can go to imdb.com, bring up the Two Opinionated podcast, and it'll show you every guest that we've ever had on the program. There's close to 1,000 of them, if you can believe it, but you can check that out. Two Opinionated podcast, imdb.com. Thank you guys so much. Until next time. Bye, everybody.